Yo, well, welcome back to the Banter Boys podcast. My name is Sanji. With me is Nate. How you doing, boy?
I'm awesome, Sanji. Thank you so much for having me on. This is gonna be a good time.
Yeah, for sure. Man, it's a pleasure always to see a fresh face in the draft community. So first off, I gotta tell you, welcome. You know, as Ross would say, welcome. But I can't do it as suave as he can, you know?
Thank you. I appreciate it.
But just to get things started, why don't we kick us off with the first segment, which is the fan introduction. So why don't you tell the listeners who you are, your Twitter handle, which club you're representing tonight, where you're from, and a little bit about yourself. What's life like where you are.
Yeah, for sure. My name is Nate Crooks. Hello, everyone. Good to meet you all. Twitter handle at PL Drafttopia. Go by mostly just Drafttopia. Been around for, personally, been in the scene for about 3 years, but just started interacting a little bit more with a Twitter account about a month ago. So it's been fun. I support the mighty Tottenham Hotspur. Conte's at the helm. We can do no wrong.
Yeah. Congratulations on your Champions League spot.
Yes.
Must give that.
It was just that much sweeter to take it from Arsenal. Just that much sweeter.
I can imagine.
I am from Michigan, live in Ohio, so right at the border there. So I frequently travel across the border all the time just to go back and forth to see family, friends, work, all that good stuff. I work at an industrial laundry facility, so that's interesting.
Wow. Really?
Yes. Yep. I'm a plant manager at an industrial laundry facility, so we clean protective gloves and sleeves that you would see in manufacturing. Instead of them using gloves once and throwing them out, we clean them, send them back to them. They can use them 5 or 6 times. So,
wow, that's very interesting stuff. Yeah, very interesting stuff, man. I really got to ask you something though about your logo for your Twitter account. Did you make that yourself?
Made it on Canva in like 3.5 minutes. I just wanted to get started, so I didn't take any time whatsoever.
Love it. What was the inspiration behind it? Like, why the 3 stars? Are those 3 draft titles that you've won?
No, that's for the 3rd place I come in each year. I just can't get back. Yeah. I can't quite get over the line, but similar to Tottenham,
Yeah, I get that. Like Ross always likes to make the joke with me. I'm always the bridesmaid, never the bride.
Exactly.
I always come one step short in all my draft leagues. But man, yeah, welcome. I'm so happy to have you on board. I'm eager to learn everything about Spurs because I'll tell you what I tell all the fans that we're gonna interview in this new segment this season is that I'm coming into this with zero knowledge. You are the expert, right? We're here to learn from you. So be eager to share whatever you have, and I hope even if listeners can't get all the information they want from this segment, that they are free to reach out to you and chat with you, right? Because you seem like a very engaging fella on the Twitter sphere. So
yeah, of course. I'm actually going to start trying a few new things. I think I have something special for Friday. We'll see if it translate into anything, but little teaser. We'll know more then. But
love it. All right.
But yeah, anytime you guys want to shoot me a DM, ask a question, I'm just happy to discuss anything.
Awesome. All right. So how we're going to do this episode is we have like 3 segments. We're going to have a general discussion, just chat a bit about Spurs, how they did, what you're expecting, old assets, new assets, formations, 5 subs and World Cup impact. And then we'll have the segment that everyone really cares about is the draft segment, right? Your first pick, your 3 picks after that, and maybe a hidden gem or 2. And then we'll round things off. Just get your opinion as a draft manager, how you kind of navigate trading assets, right? Do you look at form? Do you look at fixtures? Or do you look at both, right? So let's get started. This question is maybe a bit interesting to kind of hear your perspective on, because this is maybe Conte's first full season, if I'm not mistaken now, right? So
yep.
How was the transition between after winning the first 3 games of the season under Nuno, thinking, oh, this is easy business, beating Man City as well, top of the table, and then everything almost went south, but then Conte comes in, and listen, Conte is I mean, I'm a Chelsea fan, right? So I know what that Conte energy is like. It's fucking infectious, right? You love to
Yeah.
see him celebrate goals as well. And he's a no bullshit manager, right? So I just want to get your take on what do you think of that new impact that Conte has had on your club?
I think it had a massive impact for the superstars of the team. You're looking at the Heung-min Son, the Harry Kane, the Lloris. He had a massive effect on Dyer, who really hasn't put a foot wrong in a back three, which, yeah, you get a little bit of help from your fellow center backs, but I think he's done a lot to just reinvigorate that energy, especially coming from the Nuno era. Yeah, we won the first three, lost the next three, and then it was just a roller coaster of emotions from there.
Yeah.
Luckily, he only managed to make it 10 games.
Yeah.
So I think the timing was good. Everything seemed to kind of work out. And, I mean, after the 10 games, Conte comes in, takes over for the next, 28?
Yeah.
They lost 6,
Yeah.
5 draws,
Not bad.
17 wins.
Not bad.
I mean, and that's with no preseason,
Yeah.
inheriting a squad. He had to figure out quickly how he was going to be able to do things. And you could just tell as soon as he made the changes, the team looked that much better defensively. People seem to be happier. So it's just a good overall change.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess the next point that we can kind of move on, well, the next two really, they kind of tie into each other, right? Let's talk about last season, right? Your performance, top 4, exactly what Conte was trying to get by the end of the season. But now coming into the new season, listen, I'm not gonna lie, you guys have stolen the transfer window so far for the season. Like some of the signings are like, I'm trying to win a trophy this season. Is basically what I'm seeing from Spurs, right? So, like, let's talk a little bit about how last season ended and what are you expecting next season? You think maybe possible PL title challenge?
I don't want to get too far ahead of it. I think the expectation should be fourth comfortably.
Yeah.
I would say we're only 3 points, 4 points behind Chelsea. It was pretty close there at the end.
Yeah.
I think the gap will be shortened between Liverpool and Man City.
Yeah.
I could see that being single digits.
Yeah.
But they might give it a run for their money. Might be breathing down the necks of Liverpool and Man City, but I personally don't think that the title is on the table. It may, depending on how the season plays out, if there's some key injuries to Liverpool, Man City, you just never know what could happen in a season. Also, you could have Pep throwing everything he has at the Champions League because that just seems to be the monkey he can't get off his back at City. He can win it all, but he can't win the Champions League. So I could see him throwing everything at it.
Yeah.
But no, I think a top 4 finish for sure. I would say at least third.
Yeah.
Maybe second.
Yeah.
But then I think you have to win a domestic cup.
Yeah.
FA title.
Yeah.
Has to be on the cards. We'll see about Champions League. Conte's European track record isn't fantastic.
Yeah.
He usually prioritizes the league.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, expectations are pretty high. Definitely need to win a trophy for sure in the next year or two.
Yeah.
Because honestly, that's all Arsenal has left. That's the only thing they have left. Oh, no trophies, no trophies, no trophies. That's the only argument they can ever bring up. But apparently, I mean, I don't know. It's just, it's absurd at this point.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, the reason I kind of suggested a PL challenge is, listen, you've got now 2 Golden Boot winners playing forward for your team, right? Harry Kane with 3 in the last 6 years. Son tying Mo Salah last season as well, right? Yeah, it's exciting times. Like arguably Son is like at the top of his career right now, right? Maybe even to get a bit better next season, who knows, right? Because like his form only really changed once Conte kind of tweaked the system a little bit and found like that perfect way to play like Harry Kane, like in that number 10 that everyone kind of jokes about, oh, he's not really a striker anymore, but listen, Son took the responsibility and he grabbed it with both hands, right? So it was exciting stuff to see. So let's talk a little bit about some of the assets at Spurs, right? Let's talk about the ins. And I mean, I don't know how much, like how many of them will be relevant in terms of actual draft assets, but let's see how far we can go, right? In terms of names out, there weren't any like big names out. Maybe the biggest one being Bergwijn going to Ajax, right? The one thing I remember about Steven Bergwijn is that double, like that brace versus Leicester, right? To turn the game into a win. Oh man, I could just picture Conte just going mad on the touchline, right? But is that really, you think you're gonna miss a player of his quality, or was it just also a combination of Leicester kind of being shit on the day? Because I mean, Brendan Rodgers isn't the most trustworthy manager at times, right?
Yeah, Leicester season was a roller coaster. I mean, they
Yeah,
had some very good moments and some very, very poor moments, like we've seen against Tottenham. But I mean, Stevie he's a very good talent. I wish it would have worked out. I think that he was one that was a reliable bench player, but he himself wanted to start. He wanted to play matches. I think there was just a disconnect between him and Conte of he's not going to become that role player. He basically wanted to become the Heung-min Son for another team. He
yeah.
wants to be the main man. So I think it's a good move away to go back to the Netherlands with Ajax. But yeah, I think that with the backup to Kulu, we had Bergwijn and Mora,
Yeah.
and I think we've upgraded with Charlison.
Yeah.
So yeah, it kind of stinks to see him go, especially after that Leicester win.
Yeah.
But hopefully he does his best out there.
Yeah, all right. I mean, you mentioned Richarlison. Fun fact: my neighbor back home in Trinidad ran into him at a airport in Lisbon, got a selfie, dropped it in the what is street childhood WhatsApp group. We're like, what the hell is going on? Like, oh, and by the way, she ran into Cancelo 5 minutes later. But anyways, this is a Man City
Wow.
podcast. But Richarlison, let's talk about new signing. I mean, I saw a link of him in training missing a easy open chance on goal. I don't know if that got forwarded to you. Maybe somebody sent it as banter to you. But what are your expectations with Richarlison? Like, is he going to be a sure starter, or is this just, proper depth for all four competitions that you're going to be in?
Yeah, I think it's a more of a depth signing. I wouldn't draft him too high. I don't think he starts. I mean, he won't start in the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
I mean, he will provide cover pretty much across the front three. He
Yeah.
can play any one of those positions, basically. So it'll be nice to be able to give Kane a rest, but I don't think we will see that in the league too often.
Mm.
Maybe in the first few rounds of the Cup, maybe against a weaker team in the Champions League, but no, I think your front three is pretty much set.
Okay. All right. Let's move on to another big signing. I want to say, Ivan Perisic. Sorry, listeners, if I'm gonna butcher any of these pronunciations, but yeah. The it's interesting whether or not like you draft this guy early. I mean, I feel like you should be drafting him because of the pedigree of player he is, and also the fact that Reguilon got left out of the tour, right? Like preseason training. So I would assume Perisic is gonna start for sure, right? But I'm seeing so many like draft threads or like even FPL threads, let's say, about now that we have 5 subs, like, oh, Conte is known for rotating his wing backs, maybe Perisic only gets 50 minutes. But the thing is, Perisic is a midfielder, so you're not too worried about the clean sheet points, right? Or like missing out on it. At most, you're missing out 1 point, right? What are your thoughts about this signing?
I mean, I love the signing personally. He's a player that's won it all, no matter where he's went. He plays multiple positions, very versatile. He's what, 32, 33 years old, and he's only missed, I think he's missed like 17 games in the last 5 years. It's some astronomical stat that I don't quote me on it because it's been a while since I heard it, but he doesn't miss many games.
Yeah.
He will provide cover, obviously, at the left wing back position, but then he could also cover for Son at left wing. He could also be used in a right wing setting as a striker. He's very versatile, can play all over the park, really, and he's worked with Conte before, so he knows exactly what to expect, what he's got himself into with all this conditioning. I'm not sure if you saw that video of the guys pretty much collapsing after their day of training.
Yeah. Conte's known about his suicide drills and all that. He's very intense for preseason, man. Very intense.
Yeah. I love the signing just for the depth aspect and for the versatility. So, it's going to be tough to see if he starts every game week in and week out because Sessegnon actually looked pretty good the last few games with Conte, and Conte seems to like it.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's what you saw in the regression of Reggie, and you kind of just could see that he wasn't. They were playing Matt Doherty on the left, so clearly Conte didn't really care for Reggie, and it looks like he's going back to Spain.
Yeah. That whole wingback position is a real rotation headache, right? Now let's say Cess is the guy that starts, right? Because I've heard comparisons of Sessegnon to Victor Moses when Conte deployed that similar system at Chelsea, right? He likes those sort of wingers that can attack from that deep lying position. Now, does that mean Doherty possibly plays on the right wing back then? Or is it like, what's going around with that merry-go-round?
I think that's what's your starting lineup is probably going to be Doherty on the right.
Yeah.
I know Emerson did a good job at the end of the season, but he is very much more a defensive-minded right back. He's not a wing back.
Yeah.
You could kind of tell in some of the games that the guys are passing the ball back and forth, and they see him make a run, and they're just going to swing it back over to the left hand side. They're not going to give him the ball.
Yeah.
But defensively, he's good cover. I think for sure Doherty before that injury was, the Irish Cafu. So hopefully he can get back to his pre-injury status and keep whipping in those crosses and making those late runs into the box. He'd be a pretty good attacking asset to have as a defender.
Yeah. Speaking of defending and defensive cover, Yves Bissouma, the next player I kind of want to jump on. Another big signing, I want to say, because there were a lot of clubs that were like, oh, you should definitely sign a player like him. He has a lot of potential, and, somebody finally grabbed him. You think we're going to see Bissouma start most games now? Replace Højbjerg? Pair with him? Like, what's going on there?
That's, again, you talk about rotation, and they have it at the wingbacks, they have it at the midfield spot.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of talk about bringing a creative midfielder in, i.e. Christian Eriksen. But it looked like that was spoken about, not really went after very much on Spurs' end.
Yeah.
But, right now you have essentially 4 players for 2 positions in Højbjerg, Bentancur, Bissouma, and Skip.
Yeah.
And they're all very similar midfielders.
Yeah.
They're all more defensive minded. I think the Bissouma signing makes him more of a ball carrying midfielder.
Yes.
But just saw today, him and Højbjerg had the most tackles in the league. So that is going to be a very tough midfield to get past.
Definitely. Okay. Next signing, Fraser Forster. Depth signing, obviously. Like, no one's replacing Hugo.
No, not at all. No, Hugo is definitely the number one. World Cup winner with France. This is mainly just a guy to come in, play your early cup rounds, be a manageable goalkeeper, secondary asset. You saw Golini. Before him was, I'm gonna get
Gazzaniga.
shot down for this.
Was it Gazzaniga? Yeah.
I don't know if it was Gazzaniga right away, but either way,
Yeah.
they've always had
Yeah.
someone
Yeah.
younger
Yeah.
come in and
Yeah.
be the deputy to Hugo, but they were very error prone
Yeah.
just because the goalkeeper position, I mean, you hit your prime when you're 30.
Yeah.
It's all the experience and knowledge you gain along the way.
Yeah.
So I think he's definitely a guy that's been around a while. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
He's definitely a professional. You don't have to worry about him in the dressing room. So, yeah, I think it's a good signing and a good backup.
Awesome. And we're gonna round off this list with Clement Longley, Barcelona player on loan. Is he going to be a sure starter? Because I feel like you guys had a very settled back three with Dyer, Romero, and Ben Davies. The reborn Ben Davies, I want to say.
Yeah, I think Ben Davies was relishing the chance to play under Conte and get back to his familiar left center back position in a three. He's played that with Wales pretty much his entire career.
Yeah.
So it's a position he knows very, very well, and he's exceeded very, very well at. I don't think Lungley comes in
Yeah.
and displaces him right away.
Mm-hmm.
I think Who Scored put something out that he was like the worst ranked defender in the top 5 leagues.
Well, I mean,
That could have
Barcelona
been.
can't really defend, so that makes sense.
Well, that plus I honestly didn't really keep track of him this past year. The only reason I know who he is because I played FIFA for like the last 10 years of my life, but I've really never seen the guy play a game.
Yeah.
So, he has made the most passes in the league next to Toni Kroos.
Yeah.
So he clearly can play the ball out from the back. So I think that's what Conte's really coming after, and it's just cover at the left-sided position. I think we might still be in for another center back signing. I know after this last signing, they said they still weren't done yet. If a opportunity arises, they're going to pull the trigger on another deal.
Yeah.
So they're still looking. I would like to see maybe a Pau Torres.
Oh, that'd be a good signing.
I know.
Fantastic signing.
Bastoni says he's not leaving, but everybody in Italy says they're not leaving. So
yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see how that plays out the rest of the summer.
Awesome. All right. Last two names. I don't think we're gonna have much to talk about, and I'm assuming these guys are more so for the future sort of assets. Tyrell Ashcroft from Reading and Josh Keeley from St. Patrick's Athletic. Any info about them? Like
none at all.
Yeah.
I am not big into the youth scene, but I know that's definitely a signing for the future.
Right.
I know recently a lot of Spurs' youth signings have basically just been loaned out and then sold, similar to the Chelsea standard.
Yeah. Oh, let's not get into my club. Oh, thank God. That recording is like later in the week. Oh, that's gonna be an interesting episode. But yeah. Okay, so yeah, maybe we're not too worried about those guys then. All right, I think we can move on to the next question. Is what's your expected formation and what would be you think is the starting 11 for like at least the first few games at the start of the season?
Yeah, I think it's pretty much going to go unchanged since the end of last season. You'll see them line up in a 3-4-3 or a 3-5-2, variation of one of those two formations. You're going to have Lloris in net. You're going to have Romero as the right center back, Dyer in the middle, Davies on the left. And then I think you have Doherty starts at right wing back. I would be surprised if Højbjerg and Bentancur didn't start together in the middle of the park. And then you basically rotate Basuma and Skip in, whether it be throughout the match with the 5 substitutions or just in the first few games of the season. Left wing back is kind of your only toss-up. Perisic could come in right away and start and kind of set an example for how Cesc should be playing. But I wouldn't be surprised if Cesc started either. And then obviously your top 3. I'm going to predict the most lethal front 3 this season. They will combine for the most goals in the league in Son, Kane, and Decky.
That is a bold, bold claim. People know your Twitter handle, You better watch out, Nate.
I'm ready for it. Fire away.
Awesome, awesome. All right, now let's round off this segment with the impact of the five subs rule and World Cup, Winter World Cup. Been saying it every episode now. I fucking hate it. It's gonna be weird as fuck. How do you think this is gonna affect Spurs moving forward, though?
I'm more worried about how it's going to affect my sleep schedule. I honestly don't know the time difference from where I live to where the World Cup is being played, so that'll be interesting on when the games are going to be on.
Yeah.
But what's unfortunate is pretty much our entire starting 11 will go to the World Cup.
Yeah.
So I don't think many of the teams that they play for will make it very far. I think Kane has an opportunity to play the longest. Richarlison with Brazil. Maybe Romero with Argentina. I hope Dyer gets called up. I know it's kind of a double-edged sword there, but I think he's deserved it with the way he's been playing.
Definitely, yeah.
And then Lloris with France. The other guys, your Son, your Perisic, Højbjerg, Bentancur. They could get out of the group stages, but I don't see them making it very far in the tournament. Yeah. So hopefully we can skate by with no injuries. But yeah, it'll definitely be a very, very weird period in the season.
Yeah, for sure. All right, now let's move on to the fun segment, the draft part of it. All right. Now this is going to be an interesting discussion, just based on mock drafts that I've seen, discussions that I've had with other experienced managers in the community. Who's going to be your first pick from Spurs?
It has to be Son.
Really? Not Harry Kane.
No, I love Harry Kane too. But I just think the way that Sonny's playing, he's pretty much reaching his prime. You've heard the comments of, he's not world class from his own father.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
But I think that just goes along with the culture.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, typical Asian parents, man, never satisfied with their kids' performance. Yeah. Shout out to you, mom and dad. I don't mean to air my dirty laundry on air, but but yeah, like, but you know what? We can only hope that Son takes that feedback and just becomes an even better asset, right, than last season.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think that he can only build upon what he's done. I know that the Kane and Son connection is pretty much just telepathic at this point. But then you bring in someone like Perisic, who can give you 10 assists in a season, 10 to 15 assists possibly. So you have another asset that can distribute the ball to Son. And then I think that was one of the talking points of Langley when he was brought in, is he's a very good over-the-top passer. Most of your left center backs are going to be cross-field passes to the right-hand side. But, Son pretty much just has a playground up front to run wherever he wants. And, with Conte's conditioning, he's going to be burning all 90 minutes most of the season. He's going to be one that if you are looking for an elite pick in the top 5, you take Son no matter what pick you are if he's available. If you're 1, he goes 1.
Yeah. Fair enough. All right, so let's make things a little bit challenging then, right? Let's assume that Son and Kane are very close choices for that first pick, which they are. They should be. So let's move on to the next 3 picks then, right? Who are you picking first out of your next 3 options from Spurs?
It has to be Kulusevski.
Yeah,
I would say he is at the least a late second rounder.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
With what he was able to do as a January signing, came in guns blazing, just all cylinders firing under Conte, really caught onto the system immediately, basically. It's like he's been playing there for years.
Yeah.
My only worry with him is rotation with Richarlison, but in my eyes, I see Richarlison as a rotation for the entire front 3, not just for Decky.
Yeah.
So I think he's pretty good value. If he falls into the 3rd round, you have to get him.
Yeah. So, interesting point that you make with Richarlison being able to come in for any of the front 3. Does that not kill Son's potential drafting value then as your 1-1 overall? Like, would you not maybe want to go for Mo Salah instead then?
I don't think so, because if he is going to be rotated, uh, it is likely that he will be subbed out
Mm,
instead of Richarlison starting.
mm-hmm.
And it all depends. I mean, we haven't really seen this much rotation in a Tottenham side
Yeah.
in years.
Or
Really,
even
we've
depth,
never had this
like
type
this
of depth.
quality of
Yeah,
depth. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
100%.
we've
Yeah,
never had this depth before, so it's going
yeah,
to be a change, and it's really hard to use any historical data to support anything I'm saying right now because we just don't know what's going to happen.
for sure.
Um, but I would think more so, especially with 5 subs. I don't think Conte is going to be one to use all 5 subs, but he will take the likes of Son or Kane off after they're up 2-3 goals, which Son will be a part
Yeah,
of. So
yeah,
I think you're drafting for someone who is going to get you the amount of points you need in the first 60 minutes of the game.
yeah.
And then if he gets subbed
Yeah.
out, oh well.
Yeah. And I mean, Son is on corners and stuff like that, right? So that always helps his ghost points
Exactly.
value. But yeah, listen, Kulusevski, fantastic player. Not only is he a great asset on his own, but we've seen other players kind of benefit with his presence, right? When we looked at like pre-Kulu data, post-Kulu data, almost everyone kind of went up, right? Son went up from like 14.5 per game to like 18.5 per game. Harry Kane went up as well from like 9.76 to like 17.5, something like that. Akulu is like, was after he started getting a run of games, like you mentioned, he got those 9 assists, was third highest for key passes, right, with 25 of them. Kulu was also third highest for shots attempted, right? So definitely a player that you want to be getting from Spurs if you want any of their attack, right? All right, let's move on to the second of the 3 picks from Spurs. Who you got?
It's got to be Richarlison. I mean, we just talked about it. He's going to rotate in a lot. Whether he starts many games, that is the biggest question around him. But I mean, as a 4th, 5th round pick, maybe he falls into the 6th. It's very unlikely that he does, but we know what he is capable of from his time at Everton. But he's going from being the main man to being a second
Yeah,
option to the front
yeah,
3. So I think he will still get some pretty good game time because, I mean, you have to think of a player of his stature and the way he plays the game. I don't think he's going to make a move unless he's guaranteed some pretty good playing
yeah,
time. But after him, I think it's got to be
yeah,
Perisic. The only downfall with Perisic is that he's not classified as a
yeah.
defender. I feel like he would be much higher on the list if he were.
100%. Yeah.
But still a solid tier 3 midfielder that you can
Yeah.
get in the 6th, 7th, 8th round, somewhere in that
That's
aspect.
that's
So
really
if
late.
you
I'd
already
be
have a,
surprised if you get him that late. I'd be really
uh,
surprised.
I mean, he's going anywhere between the 5th and the 7th right
Mm,
now.
fair.
It all really depends on your idea
Yeah.
of how many games he starts and how much he gets
Yeah.
rotated. But I know we're going to come on to it, but I think the hidden gem of it is his counterpart. So we'll see.
What do you mean? Well, before we move on to the hidden gem, I'm curious now who this is. But is that Richarlison, Perisic, like second and third picks or whatever? Is that close for you? Is that quite close?
I think so, because I think that they both have the versatility to be integrated into the squad almost any given game
Mm,
week. So Perisic, yeah, you may draft him thinking that he's going to play left wing back, but you could see him start for Sonny at left wing.
yeah.
You could see him start for Kane at
Yeah.
striker. You could see him start for Decky at right wing, and similar to Richarlison. Hell, in Conte's system, I wouldn't be surprised if Richarlison started at right wing back.
Yeah, honestly, that would not surprise me either because Richarlison has that bit of like nasty hustler side to him. Like he'll dig deep and defend as well from the front, like he did certain times at Everton. Okay, so let's move on to this hidden gem. I'm really curious now. What do you have up your sleeve, Nate?
So Well, a lot of the talk is about Perisic coming in, but I think that what we saw with Cess at the end of the year under Conte really trusts him in that
Yeah,
position. I think he came into his own. Again, he was the young player of the year in the championship not too long
yeah,
ago before he moved to
yeah,
Tottenham. So he's definitely got the skills there. I think with an entire preseason with Conte will only benefit
yeah,
him. But really, you're looking at Cess and Doherty.
yeah,
I think right wing back position is Doherty's to
yeah.
lose as long as he's in form and stays healthy. He will be starting pretty much every game.
Interesting. See, now I think based on what you've said, I think if I had to change anything personally, based on even what I saw last season, is I would probably swap Richarlison and Doherty in your list. Like I would rather go for Doherty before Richarlison. It just sounds like Doherty is a bit more nailed. I mean, I don't think Emerson is going to be able to oust him that often. And I think I'm willing to take the risk based on the impact I saw Doherty have in certain games, right? Post Kulu, at one point, Doherty had like the fourth highest points per game of all Spurs outfielders, right? He was getting goals and assists with ease, I want to say, at times, right? Yeah, just because I always, when I draft players, I always try to go with people that are as nailed as possible. And I I never have a good time drafting new assets, like new players in the league. Don't get me wrong, Richarlison isn't a new player in the league, but he is for Spurs, right? So there is that uncertainty, right? So yeah, I think that's the only thing I'd change. But other than that, I think yeah, I agree with everything that you've said. Otherwise,
I think with Richarlison, you're going to see his starts
yeah,
drop, but his points per game
yeah,
increase just because he's playing with a much better
yeah,
side.
true.
Um, And then my only thing with Doherty is Tottenham are still after Jed Spence. I
Yes,
don't know what's
yes,
going to happen
yes.
there. I
Good
mean, it
point.
sounds like that deal is going to be done
Yeah,
in the next 2 weeks, but they've been saying that for a month. But it'll be interesting to see if and when he does come in, how well he starts with the season. Maybe he really kicks off under Conte's system and he vies for some time with Doherty. The nice thing about the way that drafts are starting to formulate, we've seen with all these mock drafts, is you can get Perisic and Doherty in the same
yeah,
draft if you really wanted
yeah,
to. If you're a big Tottenham fan like
yeah,
myself, I might do
yeah,
this. And you can get Cess in round
yeah,
16, and Emerson's probably not even likely to be
yeah.
drafted. So you can get cover in each
Yeah.
position if you really bank on the wingbacks being the creative force to that team.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and that's how Conte's teams kind of thrive, right? He's known for his wingbacks being absolutely destructive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's not a bad strategy. Risky, risky. I don't know if I love
Yeah,
Spurs
yeah.
enough to do that, but
I mean, I don't really trust it myself, but it's a
yeah.
possibility. You could go that
Yeah.
way just if you want the
Yeah, it's,
cover.
it's it's an exciting proposition for sure. All right, let's move on to the final segment now. So Nate, you've been playing draft for how many seasons now, would you say?
I am in my fourth season now.
Okay, yeah, so I'll call you an experienced manager, you know. So, how would you advise other managers, or even discuss with ones that are more experienced with you or managers that are playing draft for the first time this season? Like, how do you trade assets, right? What do you look at? Do you look at form? Do you look at fixtures? A combination of the both? Like, do you do 2-for-1 trades, for example? Like, what's the secret sauce?
I myself, the first few seasons in my home league, we were playing with quite a few new managers. And when you're a new manager, your team is your
Yeah,
team. It is very hard to draft or to trade with a new
yeah,
manager because they have that sense of I drafted this player, I'm holding on
yeah,
to him.
yeah.
Which I think I ended the season with two players I drafted. So um, I think bridging that gap between being new and taking a liking to the team that you built, you almost have to become ruthless in your examination of your own
Yeah.
team. I myself try to do a lot of 2-for-1 trades. I like to trade players out on a
Mm.
high. I think I couldn't remember an exact trade I made this past season, but I think I traded out ASM after he scored 30 points in a
Yeah.
game. And I think I got back Phil Foden, Marcos Alonso, and Raul Jimenez.
Wow. Who the
So,
hell did you
well,
rip off?
I threw in another player with
Okay.
ASM,
Yeah,
so it was
yeah,
a 2 for 3.
yeah. But
But I
still.
definitely feel like I got the
Oh,
better end of
yeah,
that
okay.
bargain.
Like,
But
if the manager that you
no,
traded
I
with is
think
listening to this episode, you deserve no sympathy for that trade. Like,
yeah, you got ripped off big time. Sorry about that. But I think that I personally would be looking to trade out players that uh, maybe you picked them up in the last 5
yeah,
rounds and they're not projected to be very free
yeah,
scoring, and they pull off a double digit performance for 3-4 weeks in a row, but then you look ahead and maybe they have 1 or 2 easy fixtures next, but then after that their fixture list is just tough as
yeah.
nails. I'd look to trade them out on a high, maybe get somebody in. If you can get a better value player, go for it. If you need somebody that's of similar value but has an easier fixture list, that can probably recoup some of the scoring. That's usually about the way I go. So it's a mixture of the form and the fixture list for sure.
Okay, brilliant, brilliant. Well, I mean, that's all we really had planned to discuss. I do have like one final question. This is completely back to, you being a fan. You're from America. Why Spurs? Like, how did you fall into that lifestyle, right? I assume that you've been to games and stuff like that before in the past.
No. So
Oh,
I have
come on.
never left the United States.
Oh, well, you're welcome to come
I
visit us in
went.
England. Just FYI.
Hey, if I had the extra cash, I would. My wife and I are expecting a baby
Oh,
in November, so
congratulations,
I'm
man.
pretty tied up. Thank you. I
Congratulations.
appreciate it. Yeah. But no, I mean, when I was in, I want to say it was like third, fourth
Yeah.
grade, I went on vacation to Florida with my parents, and there was another kid there that was around my age, and he was playing soccer. So I went up and met him. He was from Manchester.
Okay.
We started watching Manchester United games that were
Yeah.
on, and I was like, "Oh man, this Ronaldo dude's like fantastic." So he kind of got me into the
Yeah.
sport, and then I was a big Ronaldinho
Yeah.
fan. But then I just started watching more and more of the game. Started playing
Yeah.
FIFA, messing around with FIFA. Started watching the Premier League, and man, I fell in love with Gareth Bale.
Yes, I get that. I get
He
that.
was
Yeah.
outstanding, and I myself, I mean, for any of your other American listeners, if you follow the NFL at all, I'm a Lions fan,
Okay.
Detroit Lions, and they are garbage. So I have been hurt so many years in a row that Tottenham is just a reprieve of
Yeah.
that. Like they're good
Yeah.
enough to where I feel good about supporting
Yeah.
them. But yeah, I kind of just fell in love with that team of Gareth Bale, Peter Crouch, Jermaine
Oh
Defoe,
man. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Modric, Dembele. I think Vertonghen came in
Yeah.
earlier that
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
season. But yeah, I mean, just watching a couple of their games, riding the ups and downs. I think they qualified for the
Yep.
Champions League like the second year I
Yeah.
watched this season, and I was like, "Damn, this team's really good." And then it was like seventh, eighth, ninth. I was like, "Oh crap! All
Yeah.
right." But no, I think we're on the ascendancy,
Yeah.
and we have a bright future ahead of us. I think as much as Levy gets stick for, I mean, everybody's Levy out, Levy
Yeah.
this, blah blah blah. But I think he's really built a team that can support itself. It doesn't need a cash injection every year to keep them
Yeah.
afloat like your Man
Yeah.
Cities and the Chelseas of the world. We'll see how that goes without
Yeah.
Abramovich.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Todd Bowley likes to throw money around
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. He's not shy about it at all. That's for sure. Yeah. That's
So, but I think the
interesting.
future's
Yeah.
bright,
Yeah.
and
For sure.
I'm excited about the days ahead, and definitely excited about this season.
Yeah,
for
it's a
sure.
fantastic time to be a Spurs fan right now. And listen, when Gareth Bale came home, this last season before, something like that, you must have been over the moon then, right?
Yeah. I just feel so bad because there was no fans in the stadium.
Yeah, that's
I
true.
mean,
Yeah,
any other
yeah,
season, it would have been an outstanding
yeah,
atmosphere, a great
for
homecoming.
sure.
I mean, I feel bad for the
Yeah,
fans that are
yeah,
there and for Bale
yeah,
himself to not experience that
yeah.
again. But I mean, now he's in LA. It's only like a 7 or 6 hour flight from me.
Dream come
So
true. You gotta go see your boy, right?
yeah, yeah. I don't know if I want to go to California though.
I mean, good weather at least, right? If
That's
anything.
true. I guess that's one
Yeah.
benefit.
All right. Well, Nate, thank you so much for all your time for this episode. Really appreciated having you on. We're definitely gonna have to bring you back on a future episode, and maybe get an update on what all the Spurs assets that we've discussed about, where they fall. Maybe we should be trading them away, dropping them, trying to get more. Maybe they're making a title run like we suggested that. But yeah, other than that, you have any final remarks? Anything you want to kind of maybe plug about your new account and some of the content that you're gonna be working on?
Yeah, so the account's still pretty new. I really don't know where I'm going with it. I just enjoy the discussion and creating some content when I have the time. I try to do a Saturday spotlight each Saturday. I've done it twice in the last month. I get
Yeah,
busy. I have a wedding to go to this
yeah.
week. So I'll do my best to get as much content on as I can. But other than that, I mean, I'm free to discuss anything you guys want about Premier League, draft, even FPL if you're interested in that. I don't dabble too much in it, but I know enough about it to be dangerous. Um, like I said, Friday I'm going to try something new. Might have a little fun, but yeah, anybody wants to shoot me a question, just talk. I mean, I'd love to get on more podcasts and just discuss all things Premier League. Doesn't have to be Tottenham specific, but yeah, I'm just excited for being a part of the group now, and really just trying to push ahead and bring more to the table.
Awesome. Love to have you here, man. Brilliant. All right, listeners. On that note, we will catch you on the next fan segment. Well, I'm not going to say who it is, but it might be Newcastle, I think. I don't know. It depends how we release them. Anyways, we'll see you next time. Peace.